2020 M1 Macbook review. When I started this review, I was tempted to do a bunch of benchmark tests, the kind that all of the nerds can't resist. Then I pondered how that might actually make this review less useful, given that what makes us useful is often our unique position in the universe. Sorry for waxing philosophical. Bottom line is there's a shit ton of those kinds of reviews, and for that I'll point you to the people like Linus Tech Tips or MKBHD. What I'm going to talk about is the things that I enjoy using my Mac for, those being 3D printing, modeling, as well as touch bar, some basic speed tests of course, and last but not least, M1. Hi, I'm Benjamin Butcher, him. I make videos about tech, and right now I'm making videos like crazy because I'm pushing to hit 1,000 subscribers in the next 2 months. I'm also doing a giveaway. More on that below the like button. Let's start with the two most important things that you need to know about the M1 Macs. Firstly, do not listen to the haters. If you enjoy Mac and use apps like iMovie, Safari, or GarageBand or Day One, you're going to love the touch bar. Second, holy shit, I had no idea the battery could be this good. To dive a little deeper, let's talk about the touch bar. Frankly, I just don't fucking get why people hated so much on this when it came out. I have a suspicion that this may have been partly because it took developers a minute or two to acclimate to the idea of having a small touchscreen on a Mac to work with. A great example would be Fusion 360, an app that I use off and on and which has absolutely no touch bar integration, even this late in the game. That said, the devs who have used it are using it to great effect. Specifically, I love having an emoji library on my keyboard. It might sound silly, but I feel like that now my MacBook is finally stepping into the modern era. With apps like Day One, I have to say that again, having a touch bar is something which takes some getting used to, but which ultimately is so much more satisfying and gives me a cleaner, better workflow. Something I disliked about having a touch bar was that it prevents me from having easy access to volume controls. Here's the thing. Because the standard controls often minimize to make way for contextual ones, it looks like you don't have easy access to your volume. What I realized, however, is that you don't need to open the bar to change the volume. You can just touch it and slide. And of course, there's always the mute button. Maybe everybody already knew this, but for me, it was kind of a lifesaver. Also, when I'm screen recording, I have an off-screen monitor which shows me whether or not it's working and how long it's been running. I have more examples that include, as I mentioned before, GarageBand, Notes, and iMovie, but frankly, this is something that's better for you to discover for yourself. I am also really enjoying the integration that I'm seeing with my favorite journaling app, Day One. I'll do a video about that app later. Now, I realize that a lot of the examples I just gave are Apple helping Apple. However, the fact that it's so good just a couple of years in really excites me for the future. All in all, this design makes me so happy because it not only adds a ton of functionality to the bar, it also does so in a way which doesn't force compromises. Honestly, touch bar is something which you really can't just walk into an Apple store and try. It requires that constantly awesome day in, day out usage that really proves its worth. It's amazing. Okay, just a little sidebar to touch on one of the best features thus far, Touch ID. When it came to iPhone, I guessed that they might bring it to Mac, and they did, and it's wonderful. I would argue that it might even be better than it was on iPhone. This might also partly be because it's easier to keep clean in a cafe or an office setting as opposed to in your pocket. Frankly though, I think every device that requires authentication should have one of these. It's just so much nicer. I would imagine that in a year or two, they'll probably bring over Face ID as well, and frankly, I'm not mad about it. Something else that I like about this particular implementation of Touch ID is that my Mac can lock itself more regularly, which makes it more secure, more power efficient, and it's not frustrating because I can lock and unlock it literally at the touch of a button. This actually brings me to my next point. The other thing that I mentioned, battery. I am staggered, flabbergasted, surprised, and confusticated by the battery on this thing, to the extent that I now use my laptop only as a battery device. Let me explain. Normally, in the past, I'd leave my laptop plugged in. It was just more convenient, but these days, with the new M1 chip, it's so efficient that I pretty much only charge my laptop when I'm not using it, which is very impressive, especially given how much the chip is actually doing. It's a really exciting time to be alive because overall, battery quality and usage have drastically improved in the iPhone 12s and the new MacBooks. I know this will eventually mean more power-hungry apps, etc., but I really hope we can keep bumping this up a little. Lastly, I just wanted to say that it appears that the MacBooks are charging at a lower voltage. Anyway, whereas before I couldn't charge my MacBook by just plugging in my secondary monitor, now I can, and it's one less cable to deal with, and I love it. Speaking of monitors, something I've always disliked about MacBooks is the level of glare. To my knowledge, Apple doesn't currently offer the nano texture displays as an option on the new MacBook Pros, but I look forward to the day that they do. On the note of glare, something I've done pretty regularly to get around this is using my Quest 2 as a secondary monitor, and I have to say, this works remarkably well. It's also very cool, in my nerdy opinion, and I'll be making a video about it in a bit, so, subscribe if you want to see it. For all my complaining, however, I do have to say that at max brightness, the screen does look pretty good, even when you got a giant window behind you, which I often do. Okay, let's talk about the less exciting stuff. The speakers are still laptop speakers. They get pretty loud, and in 2007, it would have been a miracle, but now they're just okay. As far as 3D modeling goes, I have to say that I'm surprised at how well it handles some of my larger Fusion 360 files. That said, I do have 1 or 2 monster projects that not even my desktop can handle, and unsurprisingly, my MacBook wasn't able to either. As for other things we don't like, you can call me an old man, but I want the LED readout back. And MagSafe. I see MagSafe coming to iMacs and iPhones, and it gives me so much hope. I worry that they're just going to take it away again. I know this might make me unpopular, but I also don't get why everyone was so mad about the butterfly hinges on the old MacBook keys. I used mine for years, and I love them. Maybe I got lucky. All that to say, I feel just okay about them bringing back the high travel keyboards. In a nutshell though, I have to say that this MacBook is a quantum leap forward. Oh, I think I just quoted their marketing stuff. Shit, they got me. Somewhere a marketing exec just got his wings. Anyway, people told me that the M1 was amazing, but now I really believe. If you're looking to upgrade, I would strongly recommend this product. It's amazing. I am looking forward to many happy years with this MacBook. And when it goes to heaven, maybe I'll get something with nano-textured screens and a beautiful MagSafe power adapter. One can hope. Anyway, that's pretty much the whole video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'm Benjamin Butcher, and as always, I will be right back.